Releases video exposing Clintons that America needs to see. Leader of WikiLeaks Julian Assange is sharing some facts about Hillary Clinton once again. Clearly we already know Hillary is corrupt, but this may take the cake. In the interview below, Assange discusses how one email in all of Hillary's emails stand out above the rest. He shares that all serious analysts know, and even the US government has agreed, that some Saudi figures have been supporting ISIS and funding ISIS, but the dodge has always been that it is some rogue princes using their oil money to do whatever they like, but actually the government disapproves. However, this Hillary Clinton email says that it has not just a rogue prince, but the actual governments of Saudi Arabia and Qatar. When asked more details about the relations between Hillary and these governments, Assange shares a startling discovery. These governments are funding the Clinton Foundation, buying arms from the US and funding ISIS and ISIL. He shares under Hillary Clinton and the Clinton emails reveal a significant discussion of it. The biggest ever arms deal in the world was made with Saudi Arabia, more than $80 billion. During her tenure, the total arms exports from the US doubled in dollar value. She's even more wrapped up in criminal activities than we originally thought and using the US to arm the enemy. Watch the video below. This is it. WikiLeaks finally did it. She's done. Well, finally WikiLeaks produced a smoking gun. This is it. It was James Comey who originally loved to use the argument that there was no evidence that Hillary intended to break the law, specifically saying that Hillary was lacking an intent element. Well, WikiLeaks just produced all the intent we need. Here's how it breaks down. The New York Times reports on March 2, 2015, that Hillary Clinton used a personal email server as Secretary of State. On March 2, 2015, Cheryl Mills, Hillary Clinton's top aide and attorney, wrote to John Podesta that we are going to have to dump all those emails. You can see in the mail from John Podesta to Cheryl Mills saying, on another matter. And not to sound like Lanny, but we are going to have to dump all those emails, so better to do so sooner than later. Cheryl. WikiLeaks. So there you have it, folks. Comey's intent element has just been produced. There has been a search for Lanny Davis, which outcome with the following curious exchange between Robbie Mook and John Podesta on March 8, 2015, in which Mook says, "We got a zap Lanny out of our universe. Can't believe he committed her to a private review of her hard drive on TV. What other proof do liberals need to open their eyes wide and see the criminal Hillary and Obama did?" HT, The Federalist Tribune. Justin Gowdy comes with bombshell announcement about Hillary Clinton. He has something in. At first, it was Bill Clinton. When we found out how gravely he treats ladies and what an unpleasant man he is, we thought he is the worst from the Clinton family. But then, came his wife Hillary. That is when we saw that there is another member of that family that is far more atrocious. The worst of her many wrongdoings she has been accused of was her usage of a private server for managing personal businesses. This should have been enough to put her in jail for a long time, but somehow the family has gotten away with all of their crimes and not one of them has spent a day in jail. The explanation for this is that they are included in a gigantic system of liberal elites that can do anything they want, especially when they had a Democrat in charge. Unfortunately for them, Obama is gone now, and we have President Trump and Gowdy, an extraordinary conservative official who highly respects the Constitution of the United States. The time has finally come for Hillary to be held accountable for all of her crimes. According to Gowdy, there is enough proof for a conviction, reports National News Today. There is sufficient evidence, both direct and circumstantial, upon which a jury could conclude an intent to violate the law. He said. This evidence includes concealment of evidence, destruction of evidence and false exculpatory statements, all of which fall under the general heading of consciousness of guilt. It would appear the investigation is back to the status quo ante, which means Director Comey believes Secretary Clinton was indeed extremely careless in her handling of classified material. It appears as though Gowdy is on to something important. We can't wait to find out the details. What do you think about this? Share this on Facebook or Twitter. Scroll down for more. HT, The Federalist Tribune. Alert: Soros committing disturbing move in Phoenix during Trump's rally. Billionaire psycho and globalist George Soros has been responsible violent insurrections all across the world. This isn't surprising since he is a leftist whose only goal is to serve the New World Order. President Trump scheduled a rally in Phoenix, Arizona for Tuesday night, and of course his supporters can't just be safe. Advertisement. Protesters are expected to show up in force, backed by a group of progressive donors like Soros. These are the Antifa and BLM terrorists who attack innocent people because they have a differing view. Leading anti-Trump activists backed by major Democratic donors including George Soros are mobilizing large numbers of protesters ahead of President Trump's rally in Phoenix on Tuesday, with the intention of stealing the spotlight from the president's event. Local leaders of Indivisible, one of many resistance terrorist groups created as a direct response to Trump's election, are hiring thousands of protesters who operated as part of the coalition of left-wing groups ahead of Tuesday's event. Advertisement. On top of the mass protests, the left wants their protesters to purchase tickets to stop the rally from inside. They are doing their best to silence Trump and his supporters. It's embarrassing. Phoenix Police Chief Jerry Williams said earlier this week that police would be at maximum staffing during the visit. Protesting Trump at every event will only make people flock to him in 2020 like they did in 2016. That goes double if the protests become violent, as is often the case when liberals are leading the charge. The best part of all this is that we all get a glimpse into the liberal lunacy again, and it drives the chances of the Democrats gaining the majority in Congress anytime soon down further and further. What do you think about this? Should Trump make sure that it is exposed that people act like this? Patriots show up at Maxine Waters' mansion and give her a nasty surprise from Sheriff Arpaio. Maxine Waters just got some really bad news. Patriots showed up at her $1 million mansion, protesting her crazy Impeach 45 campaign, but that's not all. They also had a nasty surprise for Auntie Maxine from none other than the former sheriff of Maricopa County, Joe Arpaio. That's right, Sheriff Joe's nasty surprise for the Congresswoman of California is something that she will never forget. You don't want to miss this. Maxine Waters, left, Joe Arpaio, right, photo credit, screen grab, YouTube, Alex Wong, Getty Images. Maxine Waters was at the 82nd Founders Anniversary celebration of the Dream Committee on the Affairs of Black People on Saturday. Mad Max was spewing the nuttiest conspiracy theory yet, rambling on about impeaching President Donald Trump, but she wasn't stopping there. Somehow, she thinks she will then take out Vice President Mike Pence, and then, everything will be fine. According to Breitbart, Auntie Maxine said, "Then there are those who say, what if we impeach him, Trump? What about Pence? What do you mean, what about him? We go after him because we think that not only can we connect the dots, and Mueller, who is our special counsel, will be able to connect the dots, Pence may have some involvement in this too. And so don't think that somehow if we get this president impeached, we are going to be stuck with Pence, and we can't do anything about it." Maxine doesn't seem to know that she's not in line to be president after Pence, but that's not the only bad news she's facing. While she was giving the incoherent speech in Durham, protesters were at her Hancock Park mansion, and they were there with Omar Navarro, who is running against Waters in November 2018. Navarro grew up under the rule of the poverty pimp, Maxine Waters, living in her district his entire life. His candidacy is getting quite a bit of attention, Ever since Mad Max started her Impeach 45 campaign, patriots hate Waters and her lies with a vengeance. Navarro was there to give Maxine a nasty surprise from Sheriff Joe Arpaio. CAB Los Angeles reports, Joe Arpaio, the former Arizona sheriff, gave his endorsement to 43rd Congressional District candidate Omar Navarro. CAB, a leftist news source, of course, implied Arpaio was racist, which makes no sense since Navarro himself is Hispanic. How is he a racist? How is he all these things that they're saying he is? He's not that. He's a great man, he's a good man and a good man who was tried by the liberal system which tried him, said Navarro. The media wants to smear Arpaio as some kind of a racist who is engaged in unlawful profiling. He wasn't, added Navarro supporter, Arthur Shaper. That kind of racist buffoonery is expected by the liberal media. They hate that their new liberal darling, Maxine, actually has a real challenger for her seat and he is getting national attention. Representative Maxine Waters has been reborn at the age of 78, emerging as a folk hero to the anti-Trump resistance for her repeated torching of the president, reports the liberal rag, the Daily Beast. But even left-leaning sites can't deny Maxine's checkered political past. The report goes on, from the glowing coverage and partisan praise, you'd barely detect that just a few years ago the veteran California congresswoman was dubbed one of the nation's most corrupt elected officials by the citizens for responsibility and ethics in Washington for her role in pushing a bailout for a bank tied to her family. The bank in question was actually tied to Maxine's husband, and if that's not bad enough, what has she ever done to help own constituents? Not a damn thing. The 43rd District is infested with gangs, and Mad Max has protected gang members in the past. After the LA riots in 1992, Waters openly supported and partied with the thugs who pummeled truck driver Reginald Denny with bricks. She's a real piece of work and those who live in her district are tired of living in a crime-ridden area. If Maxine Waters is defeated in November, it will be celebrated across the nation. With patriots like Sheriff Joe at his side, we are sure Navarro has a real chance to take the poverty pimp down for good. Please share the story and tell us what you think by clicking one of the buttons below. We want to hear your voice.